This was a frisbee-shaped E9 grade universe ship. From the closest shuttle point outside the barracks, it entered the dark universe. Within the dark universe, the ship is moving at light speed in the dark universe. Estimated time of arrival is 122 hours. Babata's voice resounded within the control room. Slightly increase the speed. Luo Feng ordered. I guarantee we'll reach the shuttle point in 3.5 days. Yes. The ship slightly increased its speed and maintained a constant speed as it continued to move forward. Luo Feng closed his eyes and said softly, according to the plan, the Cloud Contact Vine's complete evolution process requires 3 days. I hope it succeeds. Within the internal world, in a vast plain in the central continent, there was an extremely luxuriant vine leaf covering an area of 10,000 kilometers. This was the complete form of the Cloud Contact Vine. Cloud Contact Vine. Black-clothed Luo Feng descended from mid-air. Howl. A small vine branch, however it was 10 m thick and a few km long, immediately flew up and grabbed the black-clothed Luo Feng. Hua Huang, the surrounding large amounts of leaves immediately parted, creating an empty space for Luo Feng. Cloud Contact Vine, be good. Black-clothed Luo Feng caressed the small vine, smiling. Give way to a diameter of about 1,000 kilometers. Countless leaves swiftly retracted. Luo Feng's surroundings swiftly became empty. The Cloud Contact Vine covered an area of 10,000 kilometers in the center. Immediately a 1,000 kilometers diameter empty space appeared. Enough. Black-clothed Luo Feng flipped his hand. 7 glaring red fruits floated in mid-air. First step. Luo Feng became serious. Cloud Contact Vine, swallow them. Luo Feng ordered. Rumble. The 7 main vines slashed through the air, directly swallowing the 7 watermelon-sized fruits that glowed with a bright red light. As soon as they were swallowed, the Clowscraper Vine's entire body began to glow with a red light, turning it bright red in an instant. All of the vines began to writhe in pain. Pain. The Cloud Contact Vine communicated. Bear with it. Black-clothed Luo Feng flipped his hand. A huge stone basin suddenly appeared in mid-air. Within it was a jade-green liquid that looked like water. Swallow it. Luo Feng ordered. Time passed in an instant. All sorts of precious materials were devoured by the Clowscraper Vine. According to the detailed steps, this process alone took about 2 days. The amount of materials consumed was probably half the size of the Clowscraper Vine. One could only imagine the amount of materials consumed. 1.53 billion points was a huge fortune. The last step. These 18 materials, swallow them at the same time. Luo Feng's eyes were filled with madness as he ordered. A series of seemingly ordinary vines emitting a terrifying aura wrapped around the materials in a frenzy. In the blink of an eye, they had completely devoured the materials. Cloud scraping. Now it's up to you. Whether you'll become an Undying in 1 step, or if you'll lose everything, it all depends on this. The black-clothed Luo Feng stared hard at the Cloud Contact Vines around him. The vine that had just finished devouring was very calm, however, after which there was the sound of firecrackers going off. The tens of thousands of kilometers of the Clowscraper vines instantly glowed with a dazzling light. At the same time, the vines began to split apart, and countless fragments left the Clowscraper vine's body. The main vine used its regenerative abilities to quickly grow back. Split. Regeneration. The old split disappeared and a new one was born. The entire Clowscraper vine seemed to have undergone a complete transformation within a few seconds, from the inside out. Transformation after transformation. The Clowscraper vine continued to evolve. This efficiency was insane and shocking. As time passed, Luo Feng, who was already high in the sky, looked down at the twisting and struggling vine that was constantly regenerating its body. He couldn't help but think, hold on, I have to continue. The moment it breaks and stops, the evolution will fail. A whole hour passed. Within a few seconds, the Clowscraper vine would completely change its body. This evolution lasted for an hour. An hour later. Wang, the Clowscraper vine that had already become completely golden, the special energy within its body seemed to have finally found an opportunity to explode fiercely. The dazzling golden Clowscraper vine that was originally in an excited state, suddenly every single vine leaf exploded with that special energy from deep within. The energy immediately exploded. The golden Clowscraper vine was immediately frozen. A layer of ice formed on the surface of the vine leaves. Like a huge ice sculpture, the Clowscraper vine didn't move at all, almost as though it was dead. Only a very weak energy ripple could be felt, showing that the Clowscraper vine was still undergoing some very subtle changes. Ah! Black-clothed Luo Feng felt the surrounding space freeze with a terrifying chill, exclaiming softly, "It's so cold." I don't know who researched and perfected the Clowscraper vine's evolution plan, just the various steps are already very complicated. It's probably some powerful chemist in history, or the successive generations of chemists that constantly perfected it. Looking at the evolution process, it seemed very much like a chemist's methods. The last day. Cloud contact. Black-clothed Luo Feng looked at the ice sculpture of the Clowscraper vine. Whether I can hold on until the last moment and successfully evolve and become Undying or fail, it's this last day. I have to hold on until the end. Getting through this 1 day of freezing should be the most dangerous step in the evolution process. Time passed second by second. Every second the Clowscraper vine underwent minute changes, causing Luo Feng to hold his breath as he watched, afraid that the Clowscraper vine would collapse. Hold on. I have to hold on. Black-clothed Luo Feng muttered. Every second felt so long, almost as though hundreds or thousands of years had passed. After being sealed in ice for an entire day, the Clowscraper vine had finally reached its limit. The ice crystals on its body instantly melted. At the same time, the entire Clowscraper vine shot up into the sky. The 216 main vines and the countless vines and leaves spread out in all directions, twisting and dancing. Rumble. A strange tremor that shook one's soul was produced. The last moment. Whether or not I can connect with the universe origin energy, it all depends on this last moment. Black-clothed Luo Feng stared hard in mid-air, clenching his fists tightly. Even though back then he had the experience of nurturing the 100 vine star eating grass, compared to this Clowscraper vine, the difference was simply too huge. The success rate of the 100 vine star eating grass was much higher, however the Clowscraper vine only had a 50% success rate, however the materials required were much more expensive. The Clowscraper vine was already at the last step. 1. A formless pressure descended. The black-clothed Luo Feng, who was originally in mid-air because of this pressure, immediately fell to the plains below, kneeling. The pressure of the universe origin energy. Black-clothed Luo Feng revealed a look of glee. I've succeeded. His consciousness connected with the universe origin energy. The origin laws descended. At this moment, breaking through the shackles of life from then on, becoming undying. Rumble, endless amounts of undying energy infused with the wood origin laws poured into the cloud contact vine's body. The golden vine began to madly absorb the undying energy. This was the one and only chance to break through to undying. It had unlimited amounts of energy from the universe origin energy. And after the cloud contact vine's own world energy merged with the complete origin laws, it too became a wood element undying energy. Energy transformation. Body transformation. The vine's life imprint swiftly merged with every bit of undying energy. From then on, these undying energies were no longer ownerless, they were all imprinted with the vine's life imprint. Even if the body were to shatter, the undying energy would still belong to the vine, it could completely reform. Merging with every bit of energy, every cell of the undying body, deep within, imprinting all of it with the life imprint. As long as there's a shred, I'll be able to revive. It's the undying body. In the distance, black-clothed Luo Feng muttered softly, his eyes filled with excitement. The universe origin energy slowly dissipated. And the huge crystal-like cloud contact vine that covered an area of 100,000 kilometers, constantly changing colors, gold, silver, purple, black, green, blue. The colors changed, the huge pressure of the god body gradually receded, however it still made one's heart tremble. Everything was calm. So. The cloud contact vine swiftly shrunk, becoming a few meters tall crystal vine. Black-clothed Luo Feng flew over and landed beside the vine, gently caressing it, smiling. Congratulations, cloud contact vine. Thank you, master. The vine's gentle voice resounded. When are you preparing to build the god country? Luo Feng asked. Since the god country has already been built on the food planet, master can also use the god country to teleport at any time. I'm not in a rush. When master has enough time, I'll find another place for my internal world to merge with a space shard and become a god country. The vine's consciousness communicated with Luo Feng, speaking gently and clearly. Haha. Luo Feng was overjoyed within. Honestly. The cloud contact vine had followed him from Earth, roaming for so long, going through danger after danger, it had always fought for him. In terms of feelings, the vine that had grown up with him was like a good brother. Towards the cloud contact vine, he naturally had more feelings than the star-eater grass. Back when the star-eater grass became undying, Luo Feng felt more of a joy of having a strong assistant, and now, he felt even more of a good friend becoming undying, feeling happy for his brother and good friend. No problem, it's not like we're short on time. After universe travel, we'll find a safe place and teleport through the god country. We'll let you choose a suitable location for your god country. Luo Feng said. Thank you, master. The vine's voice was still gentle. Haha. Luo Feng was even happier now. Back when his teacher nurtured the cloud contact vine, it had 108 vines. After reaching undying, it was equivalent to an official level beginner. And Luo Feng's vine had 216 vines. After reaching undying, it was equivalent to an official level pinnacle. And because of its toughness and strength, even though it was only an official level pinnacle, its body strength could compare to an emperor-level beginner. After flying in the dark universe for 3.5 days, the flying disc-shaped universe ship finally passed through the universe and arrived at the closest travel point to the Yanji continent. In the control room, the cloud contact battle armor fused with his skin. Luo Feng, who was wearing black armor, had a pair of black wings on his back. He was looking at the void outside as if he could see the distant Yanji continent through the infinite space. It makes people feel excited. Fortunately, that cultivator is still on the Yanji continent. Luo Feng said softly. He could clearly feel the incomparably strong calling. It was far stronger than the soldier armor and general armor's call to him. Every cell in his body was clearly locked onto the location of the calling. It was in the Sacrifice Yen continent. Clearly, the cultivator with the treasure was still on the Yanji continent. As long as you're here. Very soon I will find you. Luo Feng thought. Babata, find a secluded area nearby. Luo Feng ordered. Understood. The universe ship flew swiftly. The seventh battlefield of the alien battlefield was split into many battle zones, and the areas outside the battle zones had much less experts. Hence, after flying for over a day, the universe ship found an extremely secluded place. Wah! The cabin door opened. The black-armored Luo Feng stepped out of the cabin door alone, floating in mid-air, casually keeping the universe ship into his world ring. Transforming into a black beam of light, he landed on an asteroid and drilled into the interior of the asteroid. The cave inside had traces of being drilled through. However, based on Luo Feng's aura, it should have been something that happened a long time ago. Scanning with the mini detector. No life has been here for at least 100,000 years. Yes. Luo Feng nodded, looking at the meteorite. Very good, this meteorite has a diameter of around 10 kilometers, the material is no worse than the broken stars in the broken star belt. Anyway, it's just a temporary coordinate point, it's enough. Food star, give me a leaf. Luo Feng ordered. A star-eater grass flew out from his shoulder, a leaf floated down and landed in Luo Feng's palm. This leaf was after all formed from his undying energy, it was considered an undying's body. If he used a scanning device, it would be easy to detect the energy reaction. Luo Feng flipped his hand and took out a space ring, keeping the leaf in it, after which he threw the space ring into a crevice within the meteorite. The coordinates token has been settled. Luo Feng smiled. Food planet, God country teleportation. Luo Feng ordered. The star-eating grass beside started to light up, emitting a dazzling light. The blurry light enveloped the surroundings including Luo Feng. But, enveloped in the light, Luo Feng could vaguely see a godly mountain in the distance. Shio. Luo Feng and the Star-Eater Grass immediately followed the light tunnel and entered the God Country. He arrived at Star-Eater Grass's Divine Kingdom, then teleported to the human domain. There was a huge difference between Divine Kingdom teleportation and teleportation. Teleportation could be used directly in battle, but Divine Kingdom teleportation could not. Divine Kingdom teleportation required 2 points to form a spatial tunnel, and the process had to be stable. Once in battle, the spatial tunnel would collapse, making it impossible to teleport successfully. So, even though they had the God Country teleportation during intense battles, not a single Undying could use it. Back when Luo Feng was on his way to the Wulong starfield, he had left behind tokens of star-eating grass at many points. It was for the sake of being able to teleport to the Divine Kingdom in the future. Inside the satellite of a barren mineral planet in an underground cave, a golden light shone. A black-armored Luo Feng appeared in mid-air. I've arrived. Luo Feng surveyed his surroundings. The black cave had no signs of life, and the gravity was only 1/10 of Earth's and there was no gas at all. I've already entered the human domain. I need to find a secluded place for Mo Yun to build his God Country. So, Luo Feng immediately flashed and darted out of the satellite, almost instantly flying 1,000,000 km in space. After which, he used his speed to reach light speed and his body passed through, entering the dark universe. Normal Undyings could do it with their bodies, Luo Feng could too. Mo Yun, how is this place? There isn't a single life planet within 100,000 light years. Luo Feng floated in space. Master, let's do it here. A 2 m tall cloud contact vine was beside Luo Feng. All right. Luo Feng waved his palm, and with a casual slash, it exceeded a normal sector lord pinnacle by 100 to 1,000 times. Selah. A space crack appeared and Luo Feng stepped in, entering the space layer with the cloud contact vine. Within the space layer there were endless space shards. Luo Feng however stood in space. Divine kingdoms were built in the interlayers of space. The first factor in choosing a divine kingdom was that it had to be remote. It definitely couldn't be a place where powerhouses often fought. Battles between powerhouses would tear through space, and if they fought in the interlayers of space, it was possible to accidentally discover a divine kingdom. And the universe was incomparably vast, there were many secluded places. The second requirement was to consider the God Country teleportation. He had to save money. For example, if one frequently roamed within the Gangwu Universe Country, then the God Country could be built within the Gangwu Universe Country. That way the God Country teleportation etc. would be closer and consume less energy. However, to Luo Feng he really didn't have to care about these problems. And Luo Feng couldn't always roam within a single universe country. The space layer, it said it's split into thousands to tens of thousands of levels. The first level is the space shards. The second level is the God Country level. The third level is the space flood level. Luo Feng thought. The space layer was a terrifying place like the space shard level, it was the closest to the primal universe space, its threat was very small. A few sector lord warriors could resist the space shards. And the God Country level was considered more stable, Undyings could normally survive there, the space shards there were much larger, some of them had a diameter of 10 million kilometers, up to 100 million kilometers etc. Outside the God Country level, the so-called space flood level, even powerful Undyings could fall, the further one went, the greater the threat. It feels like swimming in the ocean, the water near the shore is very shallow, the threat is very small. The further one is from the shore, the bigger the threat, the deeper the ocean is, the waves are even more turbulent, any expert swimmer would die. Luo Feng muttered, the space layer is the same, the further one goes, the more dangerous it is. Luo Feng swiftly flew towards the depths of the space shard, with his flight he flew hundreds of billions of km, spending over 10 days of time. I've flown far enough, the space shard is big enough. Luo Feng nodded. Mo Yun, how's this place? It's very good, master. In the distance, huge space shards flew about, these huge shards were filled with empty space, there was no life within. Master, I've begun to build the God Country. Beside Luo Feng floated a crystal cloud contact vine. Immediately a formless energy locked onto a distant space fragment with a diameter of 30 million kilometers. One could vaguely see a world. This world seemed to exist in another dimension, and it slowly flew towards the space fragment. The shard was affected. It too slowly flew over. One was real, one illusory. They got closer. One with a diameter of less than 100,000 kilometers, the other 30 million kilometers. Rumble, almost as though the land and skies were clashing, the two continued to merge. Gradually the illusory space shard within began to form a world. The world gradually solidified. In an instant it completely appeared. Rumble. Merge complete. Since then the internal world had completely vanished, and the God Country was formed. Master, the God Country has been formed. In the following years, the God Country will constantly expand, even swallowing other shards to continue growing. The cloud contact vine brought Luo Feng, easily entering the God Country. The God Country's diameter was less than 100,000 kilometers. It was expanding into the void world in all directions. Luo Feng stood on a mountain range looking at the distant expanding God Country, and looking up at the huge space shards within, he couldn't help but say, I wonder when I'll become Undying. Master, your comprehension of the origin laws is very high. As long as you're willing, you'll be able to quickly comprehend the entire gold law. With your ability, breaking through the core probably wouldn't be hard. The cloud contact vine communicated mentally. However, the moment you become Undying, you won't be able to nurture the third body. Right? Hence I don't dare train the gold laws now. Luo Feng shook his head and smiled. The gold laws were indeed easy for Luo Feng. He didn't dare train them now. He didn't dare gamble. The third body. Luo Feng had high hopes. He already had the Saw Beast's fur. However, Luo Feng wasn't satisfied just like that. He could go through the virtual universe company's treasure trove in exchange for some rare life form's fur and scales. However, Luo Feng was still waiting because this third body was his last one. He definitely had to pick the best one. The seventh battlefield of the alien battlefield. In a remote and quiet part of the starry sky, inside a meteorite. A glaring gold light flashed. Following the space passage, a black armored silhouette appeared. It was Luo Feng who had left over a month ago. This time he spent most of his time entering the God Country level, and then spent his energy slowly flying back to the original universe space. Actually, there wasn't a need for Luo Feng to personally enter the God Country level. He could just let the Cloud Contact Vine go himself. However, Luo Feng wanted to personally witness the scene of Cloud Contact Vine building the God Country, as he didn't see it personally when the Star-Eating Grass built the God Country last time. Safe. Luo Feng looked down at his arm guard. The large scanning device and mini-scanning device were still scanning. There were no other warriors around. Luo Feng flew out of the meteorite. This strong calling, it's constantly reminding me that there are treasures waiting for me. Luo Feng looked at the distant Yanji continent. However, the foreign warriors with treasures are probably very strong too. I have to kill them to get the treasures. No matter the cost. I have to get the treasures. Move. Luo Feng sat in the universe ship and headed straight for Yanji continent. Luo Feng followed the direction of the call. After flying for a total of 4 months, he finally neared his target. 1 billion kilometers. 900 million kilometers. The distance continued to shrink. After a while, it was only 300 million kilometers. I've discovered the enemy scanning device. He's in a cave deep within the ice mountain range. Babata communicated. The enemy scanning range is also 300 million kilometers. However, their scanning device is lower end than ours. Lower end than ours? Luo Feng smiled. That felt good. After continuously losing to the scanning device, this feeling of suppressing the enemy felt good. Because the scanning device's level determined, the entire battle was under his control. This is the image of the enemy, Babata said. Luo Feng looked up. A projection screen appeared in mid-air in the control room. On it was the footage of the alien warriors conversing. A total of 3 alien warriors. Your Majesty, it's a pity, even though we destroyed that alien Undying, we still couldn't do anything to him, letting him escape. An Undying said respectfully. With our strength, we can injure an official pinnacle. However, to kill him is very hard, unless I'm willing to burn a portion of my Undying energy. The black armored youth shook his head. The difficulty of killing an Undying body is indeed very high. If we can't kill an official pinnacle, then our accumulation of points will be much slower. The scene on the screen made Luo Feng frown. Able to injure an official pinnacle? Luo Feng muttered to himself. It's unlikely that he has a treasure like the Wu Slayer wings. Since he can injure a peak stage marquee, this black armored youth must be at least a high-level king-ranked expert. This is troublesome. Also, according to the precise coordinates of the treasure is with that black armored youth. 200 million kilometers distance. Luo Feng's sense of the treasure was extremely accurate. He could confirm now. The treasure's coordinates matched with the black armored youth's coordinates. Obviously it was on him. What do I do? To deal with an Emperor-level warrior and kill him, the difficulty is simply too high. Luo Feng frowned. Even if I use all my strength, I only have a 10% chance of killing him. To deal with his target, Luo Feng had long prepared many plans. However, no matter how many plans there were, it still depended on one's strength. The enemy was strong. No matter how detailed the plans were, it was useless. This black armored youth was probably an emperor level, hence it would be troublesome to deal with him. More than 200 million kilometers away, in a cave in a completely frozen mountain, the black armored youth was chatting with his 2 servants. All of you reflect on your cultivation. The black-armored youth instructed Immortal Servant, only when your strength increases can you kill Marquis Peak Undying. Yes, your highness. On the surface the three of them were talking, but in reality, the three of them were secretly communicating with each other through voice transmissions. The enemy's large detector is more advanced than our large detector. Fortunately, although our miniature detector can only detect a range of 20 kilometers, the enemy's detection has already been detected by the miniature detector. The black-armored youth sent a voice transmission solemnly. I can confirm that the enemy who used such a high-level detection device is very powerful. Your highness, what should we do? The two servants spoke to each other subconsciously. Let's talk openly first. In any case, he didn't discover my mini detection device. Let's deliberately talk about it, to trick him. We deliberately hinted to him that I'm a high-level Regis Godfiend. A high-level Regis is almost invincible on the Yenkai continent. Even if you kill a high-level Regis with soul-destroying techniques, those powerful beings would have to think twice before doing so. If a high-level Regis self-destructs, the consequences will be terrifying. Understood, your highness. After secretly confirming. On the surface, one of the servants said, Your highness, it's such a pity. Even though we destroyed that alien Undying, we still couldn't do anything to him. He escaped just like that. With our strength we can injure an official pinnacle. However, killing him would be very difficult. Unless I'm willing to burn a portion of my undying energy. The black-armored youth shook his head. The difficulty of killing an undying body. The black-armored youth spoke too. This trick of theirs, they really tricked Luo Feng. In truth, this black-armored youth's true strength was only at the early Emperor level. The difference between early and high level didn't seem huge. However, in truth, the difference in battle strength was extremely shocking. Many Undyings couldn't break through even after countless years. Whether it was in terms of god body or law comprehension, there was a huge difference. Early Emperor level had to be careful in Yenkai continent too. Late Emperor level, however, they could practically do as they pleased. Unless they offended the worst few. The three alien experts conversed telepathically with each other. The enemy hasn't left yet. The scanning device has been locked onto us. The black-armored youth communicated. Even though we have the micro-scanning device to detect the enemy, it only has the ability to detect the enemy. After all, it only has a 20 kilometers range. By the time we actually detect the enemy, he'll only be 20 kilometers away from us. The weakness of the micro-scanning device was this. At most it could be used as a warning. To rely on the micro-scanning device to detect the enemy's location was a joke. We have no way of confirming the enemy's exact location. We don't even know where to run. We can only run blindly. As long as the direction is slightly off, the enemy will be able to catch up. The chance of us escaping is less than 1 in 1,000. The black-armored youth said. Right now the only way is to shock and awe the enemy. We'll fight him and find a chance to escape. Understood. The two servants replied. My plan is. The black-armored youth swiftly told the two his battle plan. Luo Feng was constantly closing in on the enemy. The scanning device was constantly monitoring the enemy's movements. The control room's projection screen was broadcasting the enemy's every movement in the distant cave. Luo Feng suddenly frowned. What's he doing? On the screen, the black-armored youth flipped his hand, and a beautiful purple flower appeared, hovering beside him. Immediately, the purple flower began to spread out, following the cave's passageway to the outside world. At the same time, the thorny green leaves and countless petals also burrowed into the rock stratum. Within moments, that purple flower covered an area of 100,000 kilometers. The purple flower enveloped the black-armored youth and the two servants. Alien warrior. The black-armored youth on the screen said coldly. I know you can hear me. In the distant control room, Luo Feng frowned. Damn, the worst situation has occurred. Luo Feng himself had a micro-scanning device. Hence he was afraid of this happening. He had no way of dodging and could only depend on his luck. He hoped that the enemy didn't have a high-level micro-scanning device. However, from the looks of it, the enemy's micro-scanning device was obviously very high level. Even though the range was extremely small, it was still able to detect his scanning device. I don't want to be enemies with a strong warrior like you. The black-armored youth emphasized. You should know that the outcome of an emperor battle is very serious. I've already invited my allies. The moment the battle begins, they'll rush over. When that time comes, who lives and who dies will depend on one's strength. The image on the screen immediately vanished. Obviously the black-armored youth had used the micro-scanning device to block the 20 kilometers scanning area. Luo Feng was unable to see anything. Master, you've invited an emperor ally? The two servants said excitedly. I'm tricking him. The black-armored youth snorted coldly. You two don't even know this? That opponent's strength is unpredictable. He could very well be an absolute warrior. You think I don't have accurate information? I don't know how strong the enemy is. Those emperor allies will come and help me fight? Even if they can invite an absolute warrior, the price will be very high. No one in the outer region battlefield was stupid. Emperor battles were all about risking their lives. To be able to become an undying emperor, they all had many tricks up their sleeves. Who would be stupid enough to help others? If they accidentally lost their life-saving trump cards, it would be too late for regrets. Just like that automaton warrior inviting the two emperor pinnacle warriors. Firstly, both parties were friends. Secondly, the automaton warrior had accurately described Silver Wing Emperor's strength, battle style, etc., allowing the two Emperor Pinnacle warriors to be confident. Thirdly, they had to pay a huge price. 1 billion mixed elements wasn't something anyone could afford. Of course, if they didn't invite the two Emperor Pinnacle warriors, they wouldn't have to pay such a ridiculous price. Prepare for battle. Maybe I can't win. However, I'm confident in staying alive. The black armored youth flipped his hand. A disc-shaped black universe ship appeared within the flower petals. Enter the ship. If we get attacked from afar, with the flower exploding from a few 100,000 kilometers away and the F9 grade ship blocking, we won't be at too much of a disadvantage at the start. Looking at the disappearing image on the screen, Luo Feng was clear. He didn't know what the opponent's plan was. However, after tricking me once, they want to do it again. Luo Feng said coldly. Emperor upper level? If it was an Emperor upper level, they probably wouldn't be like this. Inviting an Emperor ally? Those Emperor allies don't know anything about me, they wouldn't dare to help you. Also, even if they could, they'd have to spend time persuading them. Spending a huge amount of wealth, how could it be so easy? Babata. Luo Feng ordered. Turn off the large scanning device and keep the mini scanning device on. Also, get closer to him within 10 million kilometers. Yes. Even though he didn't use the large scanning device, he could still sense the exact location of the treasure. Hence, he could still confirm the opponent's position. The ship continued to get closer. The reason why he turned on the large scanning device earlier was because he wanted to know what kind of opponent he was facing and which race he was from. From the looks of it, it was a distant foreign race called the Na Shi race. It was a strong race, not a Pinnacle race's subordinate race. In the outer region battlefield, Na Shi race warriors were very rare. This meant one thing. It was very hard for the opponent to find allies from the same race to help. Luo Feng turned off the large scanning device and slowly approached. This obviously made the black armored youth and the others feel uneasy. Why didn't the opponent use the large scanning device? Did they give up? Yang, I've already checked. The Na Shi race in the outer region battlefield belongs to the demon camp. Haha, thank you Kutura. This is a small matter. Yang, if you ever come to the Star Tower, you have to find me. There are simply too many emperors from other races in the Star Tower. With your initial Emperor-level strength, it's still very dangerous for you to travel alone. Thanks. Luo Feng smiled within the ship's control room. The reason he slowly approached and didn't rush into battle was because he was waiting for Ku Tuo's reply. He had used the large scanning device to confirm that the opponent was from the Na Shi race. However, the Na Shi race was obviously very rare in the outer region battlefield. It was very hard to confirm which camp they belonged to. Luo Feng couldn't confirm it. However, he had many friends and friends had friends too. With this connection, it naturally formed a large network. Luo Feng asked Ku Tuo. Ku Tuo knew many Emperor-level warriors with a casual contact. He easily found out that the Na Shi race was part of the demon race, because there were Emperor-level Undyings who used a scanning device to discover that the Na Shi race warriors were on the same ship as the demon race warriors. So it's the demon camp. That automaton warrior only placed a bounty on me within his camp. Also, different camps are forbidden from communicating with each other. That's a betrayal of the camp. Death is certain. And he's a member of the demon camp. He has no way of contacting the automaton camp. The two have different communication systems. With this, I'll be safe with the golden horned beast. Luo Feng smiled. My chances of getting the treasures have increased by a few times. Irina, prepare to move. Yes, master. In the air, densely packed tiger insect kings suddenly appeared, all of them radiating a ferocious aura. Any one of these tiger insect kings was much stronger than ordinary world overlords. In the center of the countless tiger insect kings, there was a malevolent-looking mother nest. She had to precisely control 1,000,000 bugs. Even Alina couldn't stay in her inner world any longer. Listen to my orders. Luo Feng ordered. Yes. Irina's consciousness replied from within the mother nest. Irina was Luo Feng's soul slave. The two of them had a special connection. They didn't need to communicate to each other. With the 1,000,000-strong Insectoid King Corps, it's like having a peerless weapon in hand. Luo Feng could clearly feel the position of the treasure. It was naturally the black armored youth's position. The only weakness is, other people won't just stand there and let the bug army attack, hence they have to cooperate with the best scanning devices and at the same time be careful, the bug army's defense is too weak. Yes. He actually secretly moved? Luo Feng grinned. These are the exact coordinates. Luo Feng ordered, Alina, the 1,000,000 Emperor army, attack with all their might. Yes, master. Buzz. At the center of the 1,000,000-strong insect army, the mother nest sent out 1,000,000 consciousnesses to control all the insect kings. At this time, the millions of insect kings were of one mind, each of them had a huge energy ball on their claws. An energy ball was not something an Undying expert would care about. However, if 1,000,000 of them gathered, even a peak stage Regis Godfiend might die if they were hit. Shio, 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 shio. Countless balls of light instantly flew out, like countless fiery meteors streaking across the sky. As they flew, they gradually gathered together. After flying for hundreds of thousands of kilometers, they directly gathered into a beam of light that caused one's heart to palpitate. The universe space was extremely fragile in front of this beam of light, constantly collapsing and shattering. It's being attacked. The marquee immortal plant life form, swallow flower, which covered hundreds of thousands of kilometers and pierced through the mountain range, had long released its law domain. The law domain covered a radius of over 10,000 kilometers, allowing it to immediately discover the terrifying attack. However, it was already too late. The distance was too close. Rumble. The blinding rainbow light that made Luo Feng's heart tremble struck the densely packed countless flower petals. It was as though it was destroying everything. Just like a strand of hair touching a flame, it would immediately turn to ash. The flower petals were the same. Against this terrifying attack that even an Emperor Pinnacle warrior was terrified of, the flower petals immediately turned to ash. That thick rainbow light continued to penetrate deeper into the mountain range. The rainbow light was getting more and more compressed. After penetrating the flower petals for over 100,000 kilometers, the rainbow light that was compressed to its limit finally exploded. First silence. The land and sky seemed to have gone silent. Following closely. Rumble. The mountain range the black-armored youth was hiding in completely disintegrated. Countless rocks were reduced to nothingness, and even more rocks were swept into the spatial layers by the spatial shrapnel. The countless petals of the plant life, swallow flower, were also instantly annihilated. This was true annihilation. Countless petals were annihilated. Fortunately, it was large enough, with a diameter of hundreds of thousands of kilometers. If it had been any smaller, it would have most likely been finished. The explosion traveled over 200,000 kilometers and struck the F9 grade ship. Selah. The ship barely withstood the attack for a moment before finally breaking apart. The terrifying energy rushed straight into the interior of the ship. The black-armored youth was so shocked that he kept his two servants into his world ring. He alone hid in a cabin and withstood the attack. Rumble. 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 After a few cabins were destroyed by the powerful energy, the terrifying energy finally dissipated. Good, what a terrifying attack. The black-armored youth looked at the cabin that already had cracks in it. His expression changed. At such a distance, to be able to destroy the F9 grade ship, even an Emperor Pinnacle warrior's full-powered attack doesn't have such power. Is this the Bug Clan's attack? The Bug Clan's Bug Wave attack, amongst the trillions of races in the universe, was terrifying. Enslaving the Bug Clan? The black-armored youth fiercely rushed out of the ship, following which his fists became blurs. Without much technique, he forcefully shot out beams of incredibly strong undying energy towards where the energy attack came from. Immediately, thousands of beams of undying energy shot out. This caused his undying energy to be almost emptied out. However, that didn't matter. As long as an undying didn't burn his energy, as long as his energy wasn't destroyed, then after the attack was sent out, it would still return to his body. Because the undying energy was infused with his consciousness, it was already his own. This was the power of an undying. Thousands of beams of undying energy shot over. Luo Feng saw this and laughed. This Na Shi youth is really smart. The first thing he thought of was the Bug Clan's attack. However, I know the Bug Clan's weakness. Why would I give you a chance? Shio. Countless beams of undying energy pierced through the sky. However, they hit the air, flying for a while before hitting the distant mountain ranges. As for their target, the Bug Clan army, Luo Feng had already absorbed them into his internal world the moment the Bug Clan army had unleashed their attack. The Bug Clan army was his trump card. He couldn't be careless. After all, those Emperor warriors all had the ability to destroy the Bug Clan army, hence he had to be careful. The moment they were destroyed, Alina would die and his trump card would be gone. Na Shi clan's pitiful punk, prepare to die. Luo Feng immediately vanished, simultaneously passing the Wu Yu wings to the golden horned beast within his internal world. Immediately a silver-feathered beast appeared in mid-air. Its wings flapped. With just 3 flaps, it became a glaring rainbow light and flew towards its target 1 million kilometers away. The moment it attacked, it would definitely be a killer move. Hence Luo Feng naturally wanted to use the fastest speed to finish off the opponent. When Luo Feng transformed into the golden horned beast and swiftly flew over, the black-armored youth who had unleashed his attack but felt like it didn't succeed frowned, fiercely waving his hand. Immediately 2 servants appeared around him. Let's split up and release our origin law domains. We can't rely on our equipment to detect the opponent, we can only rely on our origin law domains. The black-armored youth ordered. Yes, your majesty. The 2 official level Undyings, even though they were terrified by the wave of attacks from before, knew they had no other choice. The 3 warriors of the Na Shi clan split up in 3 different areas, simultaneously releasing their origin law domains, enveloping a 10,000 kilometers area. Without knowing the opponent's position, they couldn't even escape, hence they could only fight it out. Relax, the reason why the opponent's attack was so strong was probably because of the Bug Clan army's combined attack. The black-armored youth communicated, and that kind of strong attack the Bug Clan army would have to accumulate energy before attacking together. Each time takes some time. And I've already counterattacked. I think the Bug Clan army has been retracted. Every few moments, they'll attack in that general direction to scare the opponent. He can't bear to part with the Bug Clan army. In the distance, a flower flew over. Yanhua. The black-armored youth's expression changed slightly. Master, I lost 62% of my undying body. Luckily when I blocked the attack before I realized something was wrong, the other petals immediately dispersed and fled in all directions. That's how I survived with 38% of my undying body. I'll need many years to recover. Yanhua replied. The black-armored youth sighed within. That wave of attack just now was so strong, the flower's diameter was close to 1 million kilometers, and one side had just blocked the attack. Realizing something was wrong, the other petals dispersed and fled. That's how I survived with 38%. Enemy? A marquee servant hurriedly transmitted his voice. The black-armored youth's face fell, and he immediately had the swallow flower fuse into his body. Looking over, he saw a silver-winged behemoth fly towards him in a rainbow of light. The powerful pressure it exuded, and its enormous size caused one's heart to tremble. Silver Wing King. The black-armored youth shouted. Silver Wing King, I'm from the automaton camp. An expert has put a bounty on your head. Don't force me. The black-armored youth thought to himself, I don't have many experts from the consciousness race who entered the extraterritorial battlefield. This Silver Wing King probably won't be able to confirm if I'm from the automaton camp in a short time. While he was wandering the Yanji continent, he had naturally heard some of the automaton camp's discussions through his detector. They had mentioned the bounty and he knew about the Silver Wing King's bounty. Brat from the demon camp, you want to trick me? Die. A rumbling voice sounded in his mind. At the same time the huge silver figure flew over. Fight! The black-armored youth shouted, gritting his teeth. He led two of his servants and immediately went up to meet them.